Interesting.
Good evening, happy people. How are you doing this evening? We've got a great guest coming alive to you just shortly on our show, but hopefully you are all doing well. Can't do the show on my own, however. I have got the one and only Mr. Inject himself, Boona, FPL Boona. How are you, young man? You alright?
Good evening, mate. Yes, I'm okay. Yesterday was a bit difficult for me, not for FPL reasons, obviously, as you know. But, you know, we're here. We're ready to speak to our very special guest, and I'm really excited for this one. Thank you to everyone joining and tuning in today.
Yeah, we'll go through everyone that's in the chat probably just shortly. But, Boona, I think we have to just mention Matt unfortunately can't join us this evening. We wish Matt all the best. I think he's similar to you though, Boona. It was a bit of a bad night for him as an Arsenal supporter, so I'm sure at the moment he's probably tucking into the middle of a ginster's pie and having a wee vodka at the same time just to ease his mind a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got the biggest Liverpool fan joining us this evening in Abdul, obviously. FPL Salah. This should be an interesting stream. Let's
not hold back anymore. Let's get this young man in and let's introduce him, shall we? So, as you all know now, it's Thursday night, live at 5, and it wouldn't be an FPL weekly review without a very special guest joining us. As if Late Riser last week held a sterling history, this young man simply put is FPL brilliance. He boasts 4 top 1000 ranks, 4 top 10k ranks, On Sky, in season 17-18, he finished only 70th. 70th, bloody hell. He's also an FPL Hall of Famer and sits about 40th position. He's a regular contributor on Fantasy Football Hub and also does some articles which can be viewed on whoscored.com. You'll find his face popping up here, there and everywhere on various podcasts, including the one you might have seen a couple of weeks ago on the FPL Wire, and that's just to name but a few. He's from Scotland, the same as me, but he speaks clearer than I do, and he's sitting there with his iron brew in his hand. His name is taken from one of the most consistent players of recent FPL seasons. However, don't worry yourself, there's no chance of rotation this evening. We have got in the studio alongside Buna and myself, he is known as Abdul, but also probably more famously known as FPL Salah. Good evening, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I was looking forward to that introduction. Thanks. It didn't disappoint.
Good.
But yeah, I'm good. How are you guys?
We're all right. I had a little office party this afternoon, which was a bit of a strange one, if I'm being honest. One of those virtual office party things. So yeah, that was a bit odd, but yeah, doing well. You doing good?
Yeah, all good, man. All good. Looking forward to it.
Good stuff. Well, Buna has been inundated with a lot of questions that have come in from the FPL Twitter sphere. But what we'll do, and obviously chat, don't fear. If you want to come and join us in the studio and ask Abdul directly, you're more than welcome to do that. Just sit in the waiting room and Buna or myself will drag you in and you can actually speak to the young man audio to audio. I was going to say face to face, but audio to audio. Or pop your question in the chat if you're a little bit shy. But let's just kick off, Buna, shall we, where we always start, with just a couple of simple, straightforward questions.
Before we do that,
okay.
Can we just inject the fact that Konsa's not in the squad? I don't think that's going to play too well for Martinez owners like me. But also, before we carry on, let's just give a quick shout out to those that are joining us in the chat.
Yeah, go for it, Buna.
So we've got the regulars. We've got Dirty Stacks, aka regular moderator Phil, Nehal Kulkarni. We've got I'm Davey, aka Davey P, aka FPL. We have got FPL Penguin, Paulie, Anderson FPL, FPL Pingu, Anand. We've got Dre Zero joining us, Coolio Two Foots, Abdul, aka FPL Salah. They're all there.
They're all there, and it's good to see them. Actually, do you want me to go through that just before we dive into the questions? I've actually got the teams in front of me for a change.
Yes.
So I don't know, Abdul, if you want to chip in here as well, mate. I don't know if there's any kind of surprises. I know it was mentioned actually already in the chat as we were counting down. So you've got, for Villa, you've got Martinez in goal, El Mohande in defence, House, Mings, Target, McGinn, Nakamba, Traore, Grealish, El Ghazi seems to be the one that people are clambering over, and then Watkins. So I think what people were asking in the chat there was, with El Ghazi being on the park, does that mean that Grealish is now going to sit deeper? Any thoughts on that, Buna or Abdul?
I'm not sure, but I do know that he's not going to be on penalties, which is not good. Because, I think, obviously, the manager said Grealish is going to be on penalties, but if El Ghazi's there, then I think he's going to be taking them. So, as a Grealish owner, that's not good. That's not good. And it seems like a bit of a rotated squad. There's no Konsa. It seems they've got Nakamba. I don't know. As a Watkins and Grealish owner, I'm not optimistic with that lineup. But
see, I went Watkins, so I'm hoping that the young Watkins can do me proud this evening.
Mm-hmm. I've got them too. I've got Watkins and Grealish. But
we'll see how that one plays out. What about you, Buna? Any kind of thoughts on the Villa lineup or?
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't bode too well for Villa defence owners. When I say Villa defence, obviously I'm referring to Martinez owners because not many people own many of the other defensive assets that are actually starting. But Konsa not starting and not in the squad at all, and Courtney Hall's coming in, and the right back situation. No, not the right back. The left back. No, Matt Target plays right back. Matty Cash is suspended, so El Mohammedi comes in.
That's right.
He's a little bit older. We're not sure how that's going to... I mean, luckily they're only playing Burnley, so maybe, we're clutching at straws here. And also Nakamba coming in for Douglas Luiz. So that team is quite different to what we've seen in previous game weeks. So we're not sure how that's really going to affect the team. But it's going to be interesting to see. I can see Burnley getting something here, though.
Yeah, Romero was there saying in the chat that's more saves for Martinez. And asking if we're all doing well. We are all doing well. Thank you for asking that. And Nihal's saying there that he's got a feeling that Burnley are going to nick it. So talking of Burnley, this is their squad, if you can kind of half make that out. Pope in goals, then you've got Loughton, Tarkowski, me. Taylor, Westwood, Brownhill, McNeil, Brady, Wood and Rodriguez. Anything to worry about there, lads? Or alright, straightforward?
I think that seems like the strongest team really. So yeah, I think I've got a feeling it's going to be quite a tight game, this one. They got Barsley and Peters back on the bench as well on another note. So
true.
Yeah.
I'm just praying for a Villa blank, like Grealish. Let's just don't do nothing, Grealish, please. Watkins, I don't want you to do nothing either. Come on, early substitution.
Salah, I don't know if Abdul, I don't know if you spoke too much to Buna there in the 5 minutes before we went live, but Buna's not had the best of starts to this game week, shall we say?
Or season, should we say?
Well, we did have a wee chat about it.
A wee
I don't think he's very happy with the season, but probably talk a bit more about it in the stream.
Yeah, let's crack on, shall we? So, as we always crack on, we'll just start with the kind of simple questions first. So, who is FPL Salah? What are you up to if you're not playing FPL or on Twitter, basically? Just who are you? Let's get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, basically, I work-wise, I'm in marketing. So I'm in marketing. I work for a magazine publisher. Okay. So it's basically an office job. I work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. I've got 2 kids, married. So I don't really get. I was speaking to you about this earlier, but I don't really get much time to listen to pods and that much time to listen to pods and watch videos and that. But so like all of my FPL time is mostly kind of either kind of jumping in and out of Twitter and obviously doing my articles for the Fantasy Football Hub.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. Yeah, you probably tell I'm from Scotland, sunny Scotland.
Oh yes.
So that's about it in a nutshell.
That was the thing. I was fearing that because of Buna and some of the chat, we might have to have subtitles this evening if you and I just.
I'm really trying to concentrate, guys. Lauren's bad enough on his own. I'm really trying to concentrate, block out all the noise.
So how long?
Yeah, I'll try and speak. Go ahead.
Well, we were talking about that, weren't we, before we went live? That what we. Buna, you might not believe this, but what we try and do is speak clearer and in proper England.
Well, Matthew Jones in the chat is asking what language this is, by the way. I don't really know, Matthew, but I'm trying to decipher what language I'll know.
If that's Matthew, FPL Matthew, like he's Welsh, so.
Oh, right.
His accent's just as bad. It's just as bad.
So when you're saying there that you kind of dive in and out of, well, we know that you dive in and out of Twitter. How long have you been involved in Twitter, and kind of like what do you make of Twitter? Because, like in our experience, in Buna and I's experience, you kind of get, or for me, I kind of got led by Twitter. I must admit, the first kind of season that I was in FPL, thinking that the whole of Twitter represented the 7+ million people that were playing FPL. So if they were all captaining Sterling, it was like, shit, I better captain Sterling or I'm going to plummet here.
Yeah.
But what's your kind of views on Twitter? How do you make it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on Twitter like for a while, my personal account, but I only started on FPL Twitter about 2.5 seasons ago.
Okay.
So I just turned my personal account into a Twitter account because I wasn't really using it. So.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's easy to get into that the mindset that you just said, that because you're kind of the only FPL chat that you really have is on Twitter, you kind of think that it is representative of the whole game. But it's a mistake a lot of people make, and but yeah, I mean, you have to kind of just kind of reel yourself in and just realize that although it looks like there is a lot of players on Twitter, in the grand scheme of things, it's a very small minority compared to obviously the 7 million players that play it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So yeah, I know. I mean, and it is easy to get led by Twitter, like you were saying. But yeah, I try not to let myself do that. I try and make my own decisions, and and I avoid asking questions on Twitter about my own team. But I think actually that's probably one of the worst things you could actually do, because you're going to get 10 different answers, and it's just going to make it usually just makes your your decision making worse, I think.
Yeah, it just it just puts you in a bit of a pickle.
Yeah,
no, definitely.
No, definitely.
Buna, anything else you're wanting to dive into?
Swimming pool right now would be nice, mate. But if we're talking FPL, yeah. So how do you find being in the public eye, generally speaking? So you do a lot of people know you as the guy that does the probabilities for goal scorers and clean sheets and stuff. Do you get any backlash from that, or and generally speaking, how do you find your team being in the public eye? So I guess there's a few questions there, but generally speaking, what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't really see myself as in the public eye, but I do know, obviously, I've got quite a few followers, and in terms of my team, I don't really see. I don't really kind of get the pressure of making certain decisions. Of what's going on in Twitter. But yeah, you do, every time I post the odds, I mean, somebody's you do get a lot of comments, not a lot of comments, but you get people commenting saying, oh, why is Aubameyang top? He's not scored in this many games, and I'm just and these are not my odds, these are just odds from the bookies, from the bookmakers who are more informed than us. So yeah, so you do get a bit. I mean, the more followers you get, the more kind of obviously people you're going to get like that, who kind of give you abuse online and leave little cheeky comments and that. But yeah, it doesn't bother me, man. It's what off the duck's back.
Because when we were asking the same kind of question to say FPL General and also David Munday when he was in, he kind of similar to yourself, you have to kind of block it out for your own kind of well-being, I suppose, more than anything. Because I can only but imagine that your DMs and your kind of replies to tweets must just choke with the amount of FPL questions that,
Yeah. I mean, the DMs is worse. I mean, the thing with the DMs is it's not you get people just genuinely asking for help, and honestly, it's too hard to answer everybody. Before I did used to try and do as much as possible, but it's just too much. And as you said, when you've got a job and you've got kids, etc., and you've got your own life kind of thing, so it's just not possible. So yeah, I mean, I try and get as involved as much as possible, but it's just it is what it is, man.
No, exactly. No, I get that. What kind now? Buna and I know the answer to this, and there'll be a lot of people in the chat will probably know the answer of this. But if some people are living under a rock, what way would you describe yourself as an FPL manager? Is it more a slow game that you play, or are you quite maverick, or do you swap things up? How would you describe your play style?
Well, I basically, in a nutshell, I'm a quite conservative manager. So I'm quite a safe player, and especially at the start of the season.
Okay.
I'll try and pick. Always go for the highest captain, the most obvious captains. I won't really take risks on captains ever, really, unless But when I do start to take risks, is maybe in the latter part of the season, if I'm chasing a rank, if I'm struggling, to be where I want to be.
Okay.
I'll start taking risks, but yeah, generally I'm a conservative manager. I'm quite patient. I think that's probably one of my strengths as an FPL manager is to be patient and not make knee-jerk decisions like our friend here, Buna.
I was just about to say that. So the polar opposite to Buna and I, then, who can't sit on our hands long enough. It's as soon as the site comes back up that you can make transfers, Buna and I kind of straight in.
I mean, I made my game week 14 transfer last night.
That's it. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
like,
hey, at least I waited for Kane's game to finish. Right, I bought Kane in after the game ended. Fingers crossed, he stays safe.
Okay.
yeah, I mean, see what I'd like. That's one thing I would never do is make a transfer, unless it was kind of being priced out on a move that I really wanted. But
Yeah.
obviously, during the game week is it's risky. It's risky.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, everybody's got their own different playing styles, and I mean, as long as you're enjoying it, that's the way I see it. As long as you're enjoying it and you're getting out of the game what you want to get out of it.
I think that's it. Sorry, Buna, sorry.
No, mate, carry on.
No, all I was going to say, I think you've summed it up exactly there, and that's what we've tried to, or we do promote on that FPL Lounge. There's a guy you might be familiar with, G Wiz, and that's what he says, hashtag play your own game. And that's exactly what we're trying to promote, is basically so the mistakes that I've made, as I had mentioned earlier there, was letting Twitter influence some of my decisions at times. It's kind of like, nah, that's not a road I want to go down. And that's it. So for me, it's kind of like set my end goal for the end of season, and if I get there, then great, and I know that I've done it myself. I've not been influenced to get there, and if I haven't, then you kind of just learn from it, I suppose. But yeah, as long as you're enjoying it, you're right, because there's a lot of people that you'll see on Twitter that will disappear off the face of the earth because they've had 10 bad game weeks or whatever, and it's like, listen, you're playing the game because you love watching football, and now the game of football's pissing you off, try and just enjoy it for what it is, I suppose.
I know you see that a lot. I've noticed that a lot quite recently. People kind of affecting their mental health, them leaving Twitter, and I mean if it's affecting you that much, then it's something you probably should try and stay away from. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. I totally get that. Buna, anything else from yourself?
I just want to say, obviously, with your name, Abdul, being FPL Salah, obviously you're an avid Liverpool fan, so I just wanted to ask how many times you'd visited Anfield in the past few years.
Yeah, okay, let me just clear this up. So obviously, a lot of people will probably assume I'm a Liverpool fan, but I actually am a Manchester United fan. So so basically, so let me tell you the story behind it, right?
Right.
So firstly, the Salah in the display picture, he's got his Egypt top on, right? So he's Salah the Egyptian, and not the Liverpool player. So, and the reason I went for him was somebody was calling me a fraud. I was that crazy. So the reason I went for him was obviously when I kind of started my Twitter account, it was during that season where Salah was banging in the goals. That season where he got 30 goals in the season, and he was doing great for my fantasy team. And I just loved the way he was conducting himself. Because he was scoring a lot of goals. He was when he was scoring, he was like bowing down to God. So obviously I'm a Muslim and he's a Muslim, and I just kind of felt he was shedding a positive light for Muslims, and you even had Liverpool fans singing his name and saying things like they were going to become Muslim if he scores again, things like that. And in the media, Muslims get a bad rep. There's a lot of kind of negative media around Islam, and I felt that he was bringing a positive light to that, just by being good at football and the way he was kind of conducting himself. So I was really drawn to that. And I'm not one of those kind of tribal football supporters, where I just hate other players just because they play for Liverpool or City. I appreciate good footballers, and so that's the reason for the FPL Salah, basically.
That's brilliant.
I just love him as a person.
I think there's a lot of people would not have expected that as an answer. So really good question from Urbuna, although I think it was asked a lot within the Twitter DMs, but no, that's cracking, and I can totally understand, your reasoning behind that. So no, thanks very much for that. And as Dre said there, he's total shocked by that, and I know
I've won him over already.
And there'll be a few people that will be the same, I would imagine.
Yeah.
if you were to change one thing, so if you become the head of FPL and FPL Towers,
if you become Mark Southerns,
what would you change, and why would you change it? To do with the
game. What I mean? Yeah, you know what? There's not much I would change in the game because I like the way it is. I like how simple it is. I know you got other games out there, like you've got like the Sky game where you've got multiple captains and that. But I think the great thing about FPL is just the simplicity. But the one thing I would change though is the bonus point system.
Okay.
I just like the way it's calculated. I think it's I just think it could be better. I mean, it's not like a major thing or something that bothers me too much, but if you were to ask me like what I would change about it, that'd probably be it. Just to kind of have more. I like the fact that it's Opta stats, and back in the days, I don't know how long you guys have been playing for, but you used to have like the man in the stand where it was just some random guy, giving out bonus points, and it was just sometimes you'd get some crazy decisions. So it's good that it's transparent, but I think it could be tweaked a bit. So yeah, that's probably what I would change.
Nah, that's fair enough. Thank you for that, chat. I know that I don't know about you and Salah. It's just because it's right in front of me. Abdul will have seen the questions as well floating through the chat, so we're going to try our best to get through them as well as.
I've noted 2 down. Once you're done, I've noted 2 down, so I'll read them.
No, that's excellent. Yeah. Good stuff. As well as obviously going into the questions of people that have DM'd us, whether it was myself or Buna directly. But before we go into that, and I know you've listened to these podcasts, the final question from us is this. So you need to put yourself in this little scenario, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
It's the final seconds of the Champions
Lama, he watched this. He watched last week's Late Riser stream.
No, I know.
For God's sake.
Well, I've still got to put the guy in the situation.
Yeah. To be honest, I've actually been thinking about this. I know what you're going to ask, and I've been thinking about it, so I've got my answer ready already.
All right, that's good. Well, for the benefits of those that have never heard this bit before, it's the final seconds of the Champions League final. You're through on goal, 1-on-1 with the keeper. You've got the ball at your feet, you're about to lace it when you see out the corner of your eye your fellow strike partner. You know if you pass to him, he's not going to miss. But Abdul, FPL Salah, it's you that's got the ball at the feet. What are you doing? Are you smashing or are you passing?
Buna thinks I'm passing, yeah. To be honest, like in typical Salah fashion, I think I would smash it.
My head
is scrambled. My head is scrambled. Late Riser last week with the attacking FPL style is passing. You with the mundane kind of slow style shooting. What's going on?
Let me give you my reason behind it, right? Because as I said, I had been thinking about it, right? So I tried to put myself in that position. I know because when I played football as a youngster and that, I was always that type of person who was quite bad at decision making, especially like because I'm not actually a right back, so I really should be passing it. But I'm that type of person where if I'm in that moment. Sorry?
I said I think Late Riser was a right back as well. What's going on?
Oh, it is, yeah. I didn't know that. I mean, I probably missed that bit. But so I just think that when you're in that position, Champions League final and the adrenaline's rushing, I think I'd probably smash it. Even though I know I should pass it.
Well, you say that as a right back, you're probably going to nosebleed if you're that far up the park.
Aye, exactly.
But hey, as I say, it's you that's got the ball at the feet, so you can do what you want with it. So, no, excellent. Right, Buna, before we dive into some of the Twitter sphere, I know you said you'd noted a couple of questions down for Abdul that the chat have been asking up until now.
Yeah, they were.
I was also, Buna, sorry, just if one of the mods can put the link to our Discord in the chat, that would be much appreciated. The door is open. If you want to come in, just join the waiting room and Buna or myself will drag you in. And instead of asking the question in chat, you can just come into the studio and ask them live. But Buna, what have you noted down?
So I've noted 2 questions down, which are quite appropriate right now. But in the meantime, guys, if you've got more questions, please keep them coming in the live chat. And if we feel they're relevant to the, the stuff that's going on at the moment in the FPL sphere, we'll definitely ask them. But the key question, Abdul, you'll have seen this mentioned over the past 6-7 months is all about luck versus skill. So Rohan S in the chat asks, what does Abdul think about the luck versus skill debate in FPL?
Yeah, that's a good question, and yeah, it's been discussed a lot on Twitter like over the years. But I'm in this kind of camp where there's of course there's luck involved, right? But I just think if you look at certain managers who have got like constant good finishes, and I do think. Well, yeah, I mean, there's plenty other out there. There's plenty other out there with better records than me. But like you've got players who like finished in the top 1K 5 times, and they've finished in the top 100 a few times as well. And I would say around about 60 to 65% skill, and then the rest luck. 35-25% luck, something like that. Because I mean. Yeah, there's definitely luck involved, and you can have like a season where you're really lucky. But I think if you're playing like over say 10 seasons and you're a good player, then that'll show in your season history.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, I think there's more skill in FPL than luck. Although it has got a large percentage of luck.
That kind of links in to one of the questions that came across from Twitter, and I apologise because I'm not quite sure who it was that asked it. But it was basically, how long do you reckon you spend per game week on your statistical work? Is what they've mentioned in your official world.
That was Dre in the
chat. Was that Dre? Right, sorry Dre. I wasn't sure if it was yourself. So yeah, that's what Dre's asking.
Yeah, it sounds quite fancy when you say statistical work, but I mean, like I do the odds, right? So I'll do like the goal scorer and clean sheet odds, which takes me about 20-25 minutes. But then most of my time is actually spent on articles that I do for Fantasy Football Hub. So I'm quite frequent in that. So I'm writing 3 a week for them just now. So actually at the moment, spend a lot less time looking at my team than I do, than most people. So, I mean, because when you're writing articles and you're looking at stats and that, you're kind of subconsciously taking out everything anyway. So, I don't really need to look at my team, and I kind of have a good idea of what I'm kind of going to do for the next week anyway. So, what I usually do is, Thursday, Friday, once all the pressers are done, I've got all the information there. All the injuries, whatever, all the information. Then I'll sit down and kind of make my transfers.
So I was just about to ask that question, and then Sashin has just come flying into the chat with the question that was on my mind. Are you an eye test or a stats type manager? And if it is stats that you tend to look for, what stats are they? Yeah,
I mean, I'm definitely more of a stats player, definitely. But I mean, I do definitely take the eye test into consideration, and it does have its merits. But I think stats, predominantly overrule, just because it's just like it's non-subjective. So when you're watching something like with an eye test, for example, if us three are watching a football game, like we might have different opinions. Like you might think one thing, but I'll think another thing. But with the stats, it's quite clear cut.
Yes.
And the stats that I look at predominantly are expected goals, expected assists. I mean, it's actually proven that they correlate to FPL points more than any other type of stat.
Okay.
So expected goals, expected assists, and then I look at shots in the box, shots on target, which basically what XG and XA are kind of anyway, but it's kind of rolled into a better formula. But yeah, those are the stats I look at. I mean, I don't. I mean, when you go on these websites like Hub and Scout, you can look at really specific stats like chances conceded down the right hand side and things like that. I don't look at any of that. I don't go that deep into it.
Right. Okay.
I don't think you need to really. I think your main stats are like shots in the box, shots on target, XG, XA, and another thing is that if you were to give me a choice, right, like for the whole season, if I was just gonna use one, either eye test or stats, it'd be stats all day long.
Right. Okay.
So I'm quite heavily, yeah.
That's you and Late Riser now convincing me that I need to resubscribe. Take back up my membership.
I think we can use FPL Salah's discount code.
What's
the discount code, Abdul?
yeah, you can use that, man. You can use that. Yeah, I think it.
Oh, sorry, on you go.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, no. I said I can't actually remember what it is, but I think it'll be on my Twitter profile.
No, because I was saying that last week to Late Riser that my head just got scrambled with stats. I kind of thought that it was the right thing to do was to start looking at stats, but I think I went a bit too deep, and then I ended up going down. You know how you can go down YouTube rabbit holes? I think I went like an FPL rabbit hole with stats, and I got that confused that I just had to take a step away. But now having spoken to you, and that's what's really good about these casts, I think, Buna, as well, is that you're getting really good FPL managers with their obviously views on how they attack the game. And even in the last few weeks, I'm now kind of siding that I should take out my subscription again, or membership, I should say, and look at these types of stats. What about yourself, Buna? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I do look at both, to be honest. And I know when I mentioned this to you and Matt a couple of weeks ago, you guys were quite shocked because you thought I just, took the piss. But I do like looking at stats. I actually look at them most game weeks before I make my decisions. And that's primarily why 6-7 weeks ago I made that decision to bring in Neil Mopay. I know people laughed and it didn't go as well as it could, but his stats at the time were really, really good. And it was backed up by the fact that he had good fixtures. But it doesn't always work out, and it is what it is. What can you do?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you know what? You honestly, you don't have to spend as much time on your FPL team and looking at stats as you think. It's, a lot of people, think that the more time you actually spend on it, like the better it is. But honestly, you end up overthinking stuff. It's a simple game. Most moves, most weeks are fairly straightforward.
Yes.
And it's just about kind of blocking out the noise. Because as you said earlier in the stream, Lama, is that when you're in that kind of Twitter bubble, you just get pulled from pillar to post in terms of what you want to do. People with the different opinions and that. So yeah.
No, you definitely not. Totally take that one on board. But no, you were saying that you'd been noting down some questions. What else have you been noting down?
Yeah, so we've got two more questions. Rohan's come in with another question. We'll leave that for after. The one question I've got is quite appropriate to the double game weeks and the blank game weeks, which have now been announced. And it's from FPL Penguin, who, like myself, has unfortunately used his free hit chip already. So we're in a bit of a difficult situation. And how many
chips have you got left, Buna?
How do you pronounce Wijnaldum? Pipe down, mate. Pipe down. Anyway, he's asking, if you were in that situation, Abdul, would you consider wildcarding, going into blank game week 18 and bringing in players which play, a hybrid across blank game week 18 and double game week 19. So, what's your thoughts on that? It's something I'm considering as well. I'll give my views afterwards, but I'd like to hear your thoughts as well.
Yeah. I actually just finished my article today. So it's just been released today on Fantasy Football Hub about the double game and blank game week. So,
Abdul, it's seamless on this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect timing. So basically, like, if you've not got your free hit, right? What I think at the moment,
Abdul, can you say this slowly? I'm going to take minutes on this. I need some help.
Right. So I think if you've not got your free hit, right? So I think probably the best thing to do is kind of build your team up for game week 18. Get as many of the game week 18 players as you can, because the thing is, you've got City playing, you've got Spurs playing, so it'll be quite easy to actually build up to that, because you can easily get 3 Spurs and 3 City, and they're not teams like Burnley and West Brom. They're decent teams with decent players. So yeah, I would probably build myself up, get a decent team out for that, and then wildcard into game week 19 and set yourself up for the kind of double game week and then the season beyond, basically. I wouldn't go all out in the double game week, because then you've used your wild card, so you've not got another one. But yeah, I would that's what I'd do. I'd kind of set myself up for game week 19 wild card and beyond, for the rest of the season. I think that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's very interesting.
So what? How you were, Buna, you were saying that you'd give your thoughts. Where was your head at, mate?
So I'd be keen to hear your thoughts on this, and this is the angle that I'm taking on this, Abdul. And so I've seen a lot of people, particularly those that are quite known in the community, saying how they're planning to free hit in 18, and either wildcard in 19 or start building up for a double game week 19 squad between now and game week 19 to allow them to bench boost in 19. And obviously, with me not having a free hit, the perspective I'm taking is if people are going to be free hitting in that, most people are going to have quite similar teams. So the advantage they can gain from the use of that chip, if most people are doing it, I know we're in a Twitter bubble, so we've kind of got to take it with a pinch of salt, is quite minimal in that sense. Yeah. So for how I'm planning to approach it is to bring in or have by blank game week 18, 8 or 9 players that the key players that most people will have for blank game week 18, and have between 6 and 7 or 6 and 8 players that will be playing double game week 19. In an ideal situation, I'd have 2 free transfers for 19 so that I could maybe make a small wild card, take a -4, bring in another 3 that have the double game week, or even 2 and not take a transfer, and field 11 or 15 if I'm planning to bench boost in 19. Do you think that's a viable strategy?
Yeah, that sounds it sounds good in theory, but no, I mean, like it is good at what you're saying. It's good to plan that way, but you know what? The thing with like planning transfers, this far in advance, there's so much that could kind of go wrong. There's so many injuries that will kind of pop up here and there, especially like at this time of year. But yeah, I mean, if you can kind of get to that stage, if you can do that without other kind of fires or other problems arising, then yeah. I mean, so you know what? There's so many strategies for this season, because some people will still have their first wild card, right? So they'll be wild carded in game week 16 to set themselves up for game week 19, and you'll use a free hit in game week 18. And the people that don't have their wild card will be. I mean, there's honestly, like I was looking at, there's honestly about 7-8 different strategies you can use. Yeah. Depending on what chips you've got, so there's just so many ways to go about it, and it's honestly it's all team dependent. Like you just need to look at your team, and see how many double game week players you've got, how many blank, and just build towards it. As long as you've got a plan there, you should be fine.
Yeah, I mean that's what Coolio has just came in and said there. He's basically saying, don't worry about what most people are doing. Just do what you think's best to maximise your own points. And I think that's a fair point in itself, Notice Waffle Beasts in the chat, also known as Sophie. She's loving our Irish accents. You left that the other week then when she was on.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
So nice to see you, Sophie. As I was saying, please do get your questions in the live chat, or if you wish to come into the studio and ask Abdul directly, you're more than welcome to do that too. Just join the Discord and then come into the waiting room, and one of us will drag you in. For those that have joined us this evening, obviously it's a privilege having Salah in here alongside us, Abdul. If you're liking it, please do just like that stream, and if you're new and you are enjoying it, this is kind of what we get up to on a Thursday evening, picking the minds of those FPL experts. So if you want to, there should be a little injection emoji on the right hand side. If you click that, you'll be able to subscribe, and Roy will give you the big thumbs up. That actually takes me into the next question, Abdul, which is kind of like a little cheeky one from Foxy FPL. He says, how does Abdul feel about going to the doctors and getting an FPL Buna syringe?
I mean, I don't actually mind syringes, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how else to answer that. I mean, I'm okay with injections. I enjoy seeing. I mean, I'll be honest here. Like when Buna started all the injection stuff off, I kind of when he first started doing it, I kind of thought, what is he doing? But it's really grown on me. Honestly, like I'm actually starting to kind of enjoy them, especially when you're injecting players that I don't have, and injecting clean sheets, busting up that I don't have. So yeah. It's like a thing now, isn't it? It's like it's bloody it's grown in the community, and it's like he's pretty much like a cult celebrity now, Buna, with his wee syringes.
Thanks very much, Denver, for the subscription. It's much appreciated. We're on the grand old way to 500. I think we're nearly at now, which, considering we only started about 7 or 8 weeks ago, it's chuffed to bits. We just want to keep you lot smiling as we get through these game weeks together. So John Harris, one of our regulars, Abdul, was asking the question, are there any players that are going under the radar with a low ownership, preferably under 10%, and we know why, because he's actually said this in the Discord hangouts, that you would recommend over a busy Christmas fixture? Or fixture period, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, the way I see it is that, I wouldn't try and go for, just all out differentials. I mean, see what it's again, it's going on that kind of Twitter bubble, right? So if you see Ollie Watkins, he's only owned by around about 8% of people, right?
Yeah.
He's only owned by 8%. You've got Danny Ings, 8%, Che Adams, 6%. So these are players that, in the grand scheme of things, they're actually at differentials, but they may not seem it.
Yes.
Because, everyone on Twitter's got them.
Yeah.
So these are players that, you get in, they're good players, they're proven players, and then if they score, they're gonna get you, shoot you up the ranks. But there is one player actually that if you are looking for an all-out differential, I was looking at that Cordova Reid, D Cordova Reid for Fulham.
Oh, okay.
He's only owned by I think was it 0.7%, and in the last four games, I think he's got 2 goals and an assist, and he's playing up front. And Fulham's attacking stats have been actually quite decent over the last few games.
Interesting.
And
have you seen the news today, Abdul?
I haven't. No, what happened?
Bobby Reid's struggling for this weekend. Fulham.
Oh, right, is he? Oh,
yeah, just worth knowing. Parker said everyone's okay except for Bobby, who's got a little bit of an issue. We'll see where he is in a bit more detail tomorrow, and then we can make a better call.
I'll just scrap that then. Yeah.
Julio Foot's got with a great suggestion in Aubameyang.
If he was cheaper, then maybe, but yeah, he's just too much. He's just too much. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But no,
I don't know what's happened there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Aubameyang, I think he's gone missing since game week 2, Abdul.
Yeah, no, he has. Yeah, I don't know what's happened with Arsenal this season. They've just been terrible, man. Especially Aubameyang. I think since he signed that contract, he just kind of gone to sleep.
No, that is it, exactly. It seems to be as soon as he signed that, it just went tits up, unfortunately, for them.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Sorry, Buna.
A non-FPL question from Rohan again, like I said earlier in the live chat, and he's basically said, if you saw it earlier, he said, actually we can ask this to both of you. He's asked, who would you both prefer at Man U in January, Sancho or Upamecano?
Sancho, definitely, man. I was gutted when he never came. I thought it was a done deal.
Yeah.
I think all the Man United, in the nose, supposed in the nose, were saying it was a done deal, and just didn't happen. So yeah, I don't know if we've kind of missed the boat on him now, but yeah, he's definitely the player that we kind of need.
Yeah.
He's so good.
No, I couldn't disagree with that either. I would love to see him come to United, but whether that ship has sailed, I suppose we shall see. But yeah, that's definitely who I'd be picking there. Or Sam reckons that Sancho would be the next Hargreaves. Well, that's not very good, is it, Sam?
Hargreaves.
FPL Anderson, is he here? Because he did say that he might pop in to actually ask this directly. No, I don't think
he's not at the moment.
Right, that's fine. I'll ask it for him. So, Ian, this one is from yourself. What advice, Abdul, would you give to anyone that's trying to get the edge over your mini league rivals?
How
do you get?
I just say honestly, play your own game. Like I never look at my mini league rivals really. Because it could distract you. You might think, oh, he's got this player, and then I need to get another player to catch up with him. But honestly, just play your own game. Don't even look at the mini league rivals. Play your own game. Try and get as much points as possible. Make the best decisions.
Yep.
as much as possible, and that's honestly the best way to play the game. It doesn't matter how many players you've got. There's so much, like especially at this time of season. It's game week 14 next week. There's so much time left. We've still got the doubles to come up, and the blank game weeks. There's just so much time. So yeah, play your own game.
No, I think that's sound advice. What about yourself, Boona? You're kind of similar, I think, aren't you? Or do you put little blockers in? I need to block.
What was the question?
It was just to do with like how to try and gain the edge over your mini league rivals.
Don't come to me for that, man. This season's been a nightmare for me. I've been trying to gain that edge all season, and instead of gaining that edge, I'm going backwards. I would say just don't take too many risks. I've been there. I've made the mistake. And if you're going to make risks, take sensible risks. Don't take risks with your captaincy in particular. Maybe have 1 or 2 differentials in the rest of your team, and those over time can build up. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, no, spot on, Boona. Spot on.
No, that's fair enough. Boona, any other questions that you've dug out from the chat?
Not from the chat, but we had a question from Chappelle or Chapel FPL, and he has asked, "What's your playing style?" We've covered that. So we'll move on to the next question. But he actually asked, "What's your playing style with 4 top 1,000 finishes?" I'm keen to know, but we've kind of gone over that anyway.
Yeah,
so the next question's from Kunta Kante, and he said, "Need to replace Robertson." I'm not sure why, but okay. Should I go for Eric Dyer at 5 million or Charlie Taylor at 4.4? Oh no, sorry. Oh man, I'm having a nightmare today. I'm reading the wrong person's question now. Kunta Kante's asked, how have you managed to have such a... This is a really good question. How have you managed to have such a good start to the season when so many others are struggling? What do you feel you've done different? This is a really good question, because a lot of key, big kind of Twitter FPL known accounts aren't having the best of times, late riser. And it'd be good to know how your season's going, and how are you doing so well? What are the keys to your success?
Yeah, well, but as I said earlier, like I'm quite a safe manager, especially at the start of the season, and I always try and get in all the the proven players at the start of the season. So you like Salah, Son, not take any risks at all. Go for players who play 90 minutes. So that, it's not about getting a good start. It's about kind of giving yourself the best chance to get a good start, but also if it's not going right, then it has to be easily changeable. Like, so you've got your premiums there, so you can you've got your, like, for example, Aubameyang, you can change it to KDB, not tying too much money into defence, things like that. But I think for me this season, I would say for this season, the main reason why I got off to a good start was because I decided not to go with any of my United players and not to bring any in. I just thought that they didn't have a pre-season, so I wanted to wait on them. And a lot of people got rid of Son in game week 2, for Rashford and Bruno, and then he went and scored 4 goals. And then I think a lot of people got rid of him. They brought him back in for game week 3. And then he played. He got hauled off at half time, and then they got rid of him again, and then he hauled in the next game.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously for me, holding Son and being patient with my players, I think that was definitely the reason for my good start this season. But yeah, it's all about just kind of giving yourself the chance to have a flexible team, which you you can chop and change, if things aren't going right, without causing major surgery and taking hits.
No, thank you very much for that. Like this year I tried something a little bit different that everyone knows about, tried to do the price rise thing for the first 10 game weeks. Although I might not be seeing the benefits of that rank-wise, where I am seeing the benefit is money. So the team that I'm able to actually put together is not far away from the team that I had written down before a ball was kicked in game week 1.
Right. Right, okay.
So what that's teaching me is, get that, I should have just went with my gut right from game week 1 and stuck to it, because I reckon I would have been a lot higher in rank. But I'm hoping now that because I've built the value up, that I'll get that advantage when it comes to using wildcards, free hit and all that type of stuff. So hopefully going to benefit out of it in the second half of the season, so to speak.
I mean, yeah, you'll definitely get, a better team out than most people. But I think what you need to kind of, what I would say was, like, what you need to kind of weigh up is that, whether all the hits you've taken or, like the early transfers you've made have lost you points, and whether you'll be able to make those points up with your extra cash. But yeah, I do get the strategy, but I think that's what you need to kind of look at.
No, you're
look
right.
at it that way as well.
I can't remember what podcast it was on, Boona. I can't remember. I don't know if you can remember, but there was someone had sent us a link just before the podcast kicked off, and it was basically put your team ID in here and see how you would have done if you just kept your zombie team basically from game week 1.
Yeah.
That was that was pretty scary actually when I had a look at that. Just going to address Sam, who's in the chat, and he was basically asking, that FPL Lounge, do you have a mini league? Well, no, but we do have this. So what you can see, hopefully in the next few seconds when it flicks up in front of you, is we are giving everyone's Abdul a second chance. Now, I know you're affiliated to Fantasy Football Hub, so we can just blur that part out.
No, don't worry.
But in association with Fantasy Football Scout and also FPL Merch, we are introducing in Game Week 18 the Lounge International Tournament, LIT for short. Basically what we're going to do is give it's just going to be one winner. We're going to give that winner a year's subscription to Fantasy Football Scout. We'll also get them a made FPL merch mug made up. We'll also send you over a scribed trophy, and that's not all. We'll also give you a 100 Amazon voucher. Now, we understand that some people might have used all their chips, like Boona. However, we're just trying to give everyone
that was so unnecessary.
Sorry, pal. We're just
getting in there again.
Exactly. We're just trying to give everyone a chance. So basically, everyone will be starting off at 0 in Game Week 18. And like what we were talking about earlier there on the podcast, and Abdul had mentioned it, that some people do just they cancel their FPL, they come off Twitter, and they just get annoyed with the game. And we can understand that. Us here at that FPL Lounge are just trying to give you all that second bite at the FPL cherry. And all you need to do is just join the Discord, which is all free to do. There's a thread already made up, and the code for that league is there, and you are all welcome. No, Sam, it's not just for the UK. The money is coming out our very own pockets, but you're fine. If you're in Timbuktu, don't worry about it. We'll try and get everything shipped over to you, no problem, alright? But that was just to make you aware. Sorry about that. That was a bit of a long kind of winded way of saying, yeah, we do have a league, but it's not actually starting until the year.
Yeah, that's a good set of prizes you've got there.
No, thanks.
£100 Amazon voucher. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, Boona's loaded, eh?
Oh, yeah. Well, not in FPL, mate. That's you, isn't it? With your 110 million team value. Anyway, I came up with a question whilst you were, telling that story. Lama putting everyone to sleep, and
thanks for that.
Well, I had to get it in at some point. The question was for you, Abdul. I know clearly you don't make too many mistakes. Looking at your season rank history and how your season's gone this season in particular, but I wanted to ask, if you were to bring in a player, let's say somewhat differential, and it didn't pay off immediately, firstly, how patient would you say you are, and typically how long would you give the player? Because just to give you a background, I had Shea Adams earlier in the season. I kept him for, I'd say, 3 or 4 game weeks, and then I got rid of him at the time, which coincidentally, from that point onwards, he's not stopped returning. We make these mistakes, and it happens. But I thought I'd learned from that mistake, and obviously at the same time, I brought in Mopay. So I thought, okay, I'm not going to make the same mistake again after he didn't return straight away. As a result, I kept him even longer, and it backfired because, he did the opposite. He continued to blank. What's your stance on that? How would you approach that situation?
Yeah, see, the Che Adams one was a tough one. Like, I don't kind of blame you for getting rid of him, because his stats were amazing, and they have been from last season. But then it just wasn't turning in FPL points. But but that's what I'd look at. I'd look at if the player's not turning but he's still getting chances, I'd keep him. For how long it depends. Like just for as an example, like I started with Werner, and I didn't actually bring in Harry Kane until like game week 7, and it was a transfer which I was kind of like thinking about for a few weeks, but I didn't make it because Werner he was getting chances. He was getting chances that getting shots in the box, etc. And it paid off for the Southampton game. Where he got like 2 goals and an assist. But then I did decide to get rid of him eventually because I just kind of thought he was playing on the wing. Even though he was getting chances, it was just like other players like like Watkins, Bamford, DCL, who are just so much better value. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a number of things you need to look at. I mean, if it's a premium player like a Werner or a Kane, then I think you need to look at getting rid. But if you've got a player like say Bamford or Watkins, who are budget options, then you can afford to keep them for a bit longer. And same with Che Adams. I mean, I don't know what I would have done in that situation, but what I tend to look at is whether the player's getting chances, whether he's looking like he's going to score. I mean, if he's not getting chances and you're looking at his stats and he's not getting any shots in the box, etc., then I'll get rid of him ASAP. But yeah, it's about how many chances they're getting in the match.
Fair enough. There's actually a few questions that just come to my mind, and the other part of that. Sorry, Lama, to cut you off there.
No, don't be daft.
Was sort of in the similar vein, Abdul. If you'd got rid of a player who then goes on a run, are you stubborn or would you bring him back quite soon? If so, how soon? So I think a lot of people will have mixed opinions on this.
Yeah, I mean, see what it's really hard to it's hard to kind of admit your mistakes, not only in FPL but in life in general. But yeah, I mean, I just look at it as another transfer. I mean, what you should do obviously is just kind of get that out of your head that you've got rid of this player, and just kind of swallow your ego and get them back in.
Yeah,
that's what I would do, because obviously it's just it's about making your FPL team better and getting as many points as possible. And if that means bringing the player which you just got rid of, then so be it. It's all about just picking the best players.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just a final question from me, and I believe there's 2 questions left from Twitter as well, which we'll ask after this, and then we can have a little review of our game week teams. Or how do you want to do that today, Lama?
Whatever. I think if anything, we should dip into because we appreciate, obviously, Abdul, you've got the 2 kids and everything like that. As much as we would probably all want to love and chat all night, we appreciate you're a father. You've got your 2 kids there in the background. So
I'm good. I'm good to go. Don't worry about that. I've got that sorted. I've got the babysitting sorted.
All right, nice. Because what I was going to say is, Buna, if we at least dip into Abdul's team, I think that would be good. And then when that kind of just wraps everything together, then it kind of shows the audience where Abdul's head's at, with regards to here's what I've got this week, here's what I'm scoring, and maybe what he's thinking for the future, especially going into Christmas. So if Abdul's sound with that, I think that's probably a good way to go.
Good, man. I'm good to go. I'm good.
Let's get these few questions out of the way first, Lama. So I'm gonna get the 2 community questions first, and then I'll finish with my question. So
go for it, pal.
The question that I mistakenly read out from TAA FPL was need to replace Robertson. Firstly, can I say I'm not sure. I don't think it's a good decision, but you're not asking me, obviously. And he asked, should I go for Eric Dyer at 5 million or Charlie Taylor at 4.4? Obviously, it really it's team dependent, but on the face of that, how would you address that?
First, I would say not to get rid of Robertson, but I mean, if he's making that move to upgrade another position, then I'd go for I'd go for Eric Dyer, because he seems to be fairly nailed in the Spurs back line, and the defensive stats are really good. They've got one of the best defensive stats overall over the season. So yeah, I'd go for Eric Dyer in that case, definitely.
Brilliant. And we have got a question from Anish, a regular in the community, and he's basically said, so he's got his first wild card still. So what he's asking you, what would you do if you had your first wild card still available to use in preparation for the blanks and double game weeks in 18 and 19?
If he still got his first wild card.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what. So I've got my first wild card. So basically, the way I'm playing it is, I'm going to wild card obviously straight after game week 15. Just before it expires, and then I'm going to set myself up for game week 19. So I'll set myself up for that. Bring in enough players. I mean, obviously I won't go, all out. On the double game week players. I will keep, maybe some players who've got a single game week, but I'll set myself up for that. And then what I'm planning is to free hit in game week 18. So yeah, wildcard game week 16. Set myself up for the double. I might bench boost actually in that game week as well, game week 19. But yeah, free hit in game week 18. I just think it's a good opportunity to do it because just because of the teams that have got a game in that week.
Brilliant. And just to end the questions, was another one that I just thought of whilst you and Lama were speaking earlier, and it's something that I'm struggling with due to the fact that I've had such a poor start to the season. I've missed I've tried to be too clever and missed going for quite a lot of key players that have risen significantly in value. So as a result, my team value is only 101. So I'd be keen to understand your stance on premium players, your thoughts on switching between them, with there being as many as there are this season. So you've got the likes of Son, Kane, Salah, KDB, Bruno, even Werner if he starts firing. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think this season, because there's so many firing, right? Like, I think at the moment you just kind of need to stick to the ones you have. But I'm more of a fixtures person. I'm more of a fixtures manager. So like, I'd probably try and target the ones who are firing, but who also got good fixtures. So I mean, at the moment, I mean, it was the reason I got rid of Son. I got rid of Kane this week. Part of a -4 to bring in Watkins and KDB. The reason being was because of Spurs fixtures and City's fixtures and Villa's fixtures being good. So yeah, I mean, when you're talking about switching premiums, I mean, I'm not against that at all. I mean, but yeah, I would switch on the basis of fixtures rather than form because I mean they're all firing just now. I mean, you've got so many options there. I mean, you can't fit them all in. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So see what planning ahead then? Do you just look at little blocks of 4 or 5 game weeks or something?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I look at. I mean, I won't look any further. Maybe like 3 or 4 game weeks.
Okay.
Trying to see who's got the best fixtures. I mean, if I see a player who's got 7-8 good fixtures, then I'll bring him in for that period. But yeah, pretty much as you said, I'll look at little small blocks.
Cool. I am just popping your team up for the benefit of the chat. And for anyone that's listening back on stream, so obviously this is in the middle of a game week just now. So at the moment you're sitting there with McCarthy at the back, Ayling, a 3-4-3, Ayling, Robertson, Chilwell the back 3. Across the midfield, Salah, Grealish, Son and De Bruyne, captain's armband. And then up front, the 3 you've got Bamford, Calvert-Lewin and Watkins. And then see, just after what you've just said there, I'm thinking, is Abdul another one that shoved a camera in my studio? Because that team looks pretty similar to mine now that you've made that move.
Does it? Yeah. Well,
well, it's not far away. But yeah, let's obviously nobody's interested in my team, Abdul. They're interested in you and kind of what your mind's telling you as we move into this kind of Christmas period. But from my perspective, and Buna, please do chip in. Well, I suppose where's your head at then? What's your thinking going into Christmas and the kind of busy period, I suppose, over the next few weeks?
Yeah. Well, the thing was, I've not got Bruno this weekend, so I'm kind of crapping myself for that game. But so basically, the reason I bought in KDB was because I just thought his next 3 up until game week 16 when a wild card it was slightly better than Bruno's.
Okay.
So I knew I was going to wildcard, and then when I do wildcard, I'm going to bring Bruno back in. But
Right.
I just thought over this 3-game period, I'm going to have to kind of ride that without him.
Okay.
So I've got no plans to bring in Bruno until a wildcard, really. But yeah, at the moment, for next week, I'm thinking of saving my transfer because I think I've got a decent team, for game week 14. Don't really need to make any changes, and then I think having 2 free transfers in 15 will probably be a lot more beneficial for me. So yeah, that's where my head is at the moment. But it depends on what happens today, or obviously we're looking at the press conferences, etc.
Yeah.
If we get any injuries, obviously I'll need to rethink it. But yeah, at the moment, I'm pretty content with my team, pretty happy with it.
Yeah, and I'm just having a wee quick. So the difference that I made, I suppose, was doing Boone will tell you all about it, I suppose, but made a bit of a cock up, actually. I don't mind admitting it. And it was to do with getting rid of Mitchell. So for a moment in time, Matip from Liverpool ended up in my back line, and it was
right.
I've sorted, don't worry, I've sorted it all out now. But no, there's Abdul's team. Is there anything that I think Bruno's the
before we talk about Abdul's teams, when you say you've sorted it, what do you mean?
Do you want to see what I've done?
No, just tell me for now.
Well, to be honest, I can't really remember. But what I do remember is that Calvert-Lewin's come back in my team. And I think I got... Let me just double check.
Did you get rid of Matip?
Yeah.
You didn't realise he's back in training?
I do, but so that's my team there, Abdul. So it's not far away from yours, really. But I've got my hitters in midfield, so it was Taylor that I brought in.
Right. So when did you bring Matip in? Last game?
Yeah, mate. Honestly, I didn't. Thanks for reminding me. I didn't really want to go down that rabbit hole. I was just getting over it. But see if you. Can
I was just wondering.
If you see there, apart from Steer, I've got a full 14 that I'm playing, and I think and that was because I wanted that going into the Christmas period.
Yeah, so you've got Bruno instead of Mike Grealish, basically.
Yeah,
and
and
no Robertson as well.
Yeah, and I know no one likes talking about coverage, Abdul. It's a bit of a swear word, but Watkins is my coverage, basically.
Yeah.
Up front. I've got my Souceks, my Dallases, my Vestergaards. But as I say, apart from Bum Steer sitting there, it's not too bad.
So you've used your wild card, right?
Yeah, I've used my wild card, but I've got all my other chips though. Not quite as bad as Urbuna, but I've got the rest of my chips sitting there.
Well, that's a good team. That's a decent all-rounded team. You've got a good bench there as well. So
he'll end up taking a minus 20.
You're fairly set up.
What's that say, mate?
Sorry to speak over you, Abdul. I was just saying he'll end up taking a minus 20 still for the weekend.
Nah. That's my teams are set and forget now. So, is there
No, it's a decent team.
No, thank you for that. Buna, do you want to, just before we kind of wrap things up and stuff, I don't know, obviously if there's any last questions in chat, please do get them in, because we'll probably wrap things up in the next kind of 5 minutes or so. But Buna, whilst Abdul's here, do you want his help with anything that you've got on your mind with your own team?
Yes, so I'm just going to put my team into Discord. Bear with me 1 second. I'd like you to bring it up so Abdul can see it and let me know his thoughts. Obviously, say again, sorry?
I was just going to say, it's not the one that's playing just now currently then?
No, and I've made one change, so I just want to bring that up. Bear with me 1 second.
No problem. Whilst you're looking for that, Abdul, what I'll do is I'll just remind our audience here that on Monday we have got this guy. Where is he? He is here somewhere. Here. We have got Luke Jerde. If you know who Luke Jerde is, or if you don't, he's an actor. He was in Hollyoaks, but I'm pretty certain, unfortunately, his character got killed off. However, he's right into his FPL, and he is joining us on Monday, same time, live at 5. Looking forward to it. Luke Jerde comes into the studio on Monday. Una, you ready?
Nice.
Yes, it's in there. If you can bring that up, that would be appreciated.
Okay.
And then I can start to then I can describe what's gone on. So that should be on Abdul's screen. right now. Abdul, can you see that?
Hopefully.
Not yet. Still see Luke Jerdy there.
He's got a good face. So we've got
there it is. Okay.
Yeah, so you've got that there.
Yeah. So I've made one transfer this weekend. Like I said, I did it last night. I did Vardy to Kane. Obviously, my worry is not having Salah. I'm not as scared to not own him this weekend, but I am a little bit for next week with him playing West Brom. So that question that I asked you about only being able to, have X amount of premiums in your team, the situation I've got next week is obviously I've got Kane, Son, Fernandes, and De Bruyne. I've got like 0.3 or 0.4 in the bank. There's no easy route to Salah. The only way I can see it being a viable strategy is like getting rid of Fernandes, who has Leicester away. But we know what Fernandes is like away from home. I wouldn't want to get rid of De Bruyne for Newcastle at home. So in that case, would you just stick with it and captain De Bruyne, who is against the Newcastle team, which is, they're not doing too well at the moment either. What's your position? Obviously, that West Brom fixture is a very nice one.
Yeah, no, I mean, see, as long as you can cover, I think at the moment, as you said, you've not got an easy route to Salah, so you'd need to take hits. So yeah, I would stick with that, and then you've got a good captain for this week against Leeds, and then you've got De Bruyne for Newcastle. So yeah, as long as you've got good captaincies in place of them, then I think it's fine. And then you've got Kane there as well, so and Kane and Son, so who also going to have good fixtures coming up soon as well. So yeah, I think you can get away with Salah the way your team is. I think if I was to kind of look at potential weak spots in your team, it'd be Giroud and Mount. I think. I mean, Giroud, he's playing well, but I mean, he can get dropped at any time. I don't think he's nailed. So yeah, I mean, obviously you've got Brewster and Mitchell there as well, who are not really getting. Mitchell's been dropped, and then Brewster, he's not getting much game time at the moment. But yeah, that's another story. But yeah, I mean, I think for your non-Salah kind of conundrum, I think for the next few at least, you can get away with it.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, maybe something like a Giroud to Bamford after this weekend would be wise, perhaps, with his 2 nice fixtures coming up.
Of course, yeah. Bamford, Bamford is probably the best. I'd say the best value option in the game.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to really. I'm really gonna have to.
Because you've got to look at his
my
price
ego
as well.
for that one, mate. From the start of the season, I said he's shit. You can't play football, and I think my stubbornness has got in my way, and he's just continued to punish me.
Yeah.
To be honest, I thought the same. I mean, he was 5.5, and if his record in the Championship last season was. Wasn't very good. He scored 16 goals, and I think he missed the most big chances ever. He missed 30 big chances or something. So I don't think anybody expected him to get off to the start he has, but he has, and he's bloody cheap.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. And Leeds are so open. It was like Brazil from years ago. I don't care if you score 1, we're scoring 2. That's just
exactly.
That's the way they've worked about it.
Yeah, Leeds have been my favourite team this season, man. Honestly, just the way they play, I just love watching them play because it's going to be a good game. It's going to be open. There's going to be goals, and then Bamford is a great player to have in your team because you just know he's going to get chances every game. No matter who they play, they've played Liverpool and they played City, and honestly, they took them both to they drew with City and they almost got a draw at the Liverpool game as well. So yeah, good team. Bamford. Definitely a player I think you need to get in. Best value player in the game. Yeah,
definitely. Thank you for that. I know that there's been a lot more questions that have come in to the chat. We've got our very own Ian or FPL Anderson. I've just dragged them in. If you want to be involved in our Discord, you can do. It's free. One of the mods will pop it in the chat, the link to the Discord. And if you join it, not only will you be able to play in the LIT, the Lit tournament that starts game week 18, but you can come in like what I've just done to Anderson and ask Abdul, FPL Salah, or whoever it is that we've got on, question audio to audio. So we'll see what Anderson's got to say, Abdul, and then I think we'll call it a night at that. Buna, what do you think?
Yeah, brilliant.
Nice one. Ian, you are live. Please do not swear. Abdul is here. ask your question away, young man. You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Better late than never, eh?
Well, yeah, you did say you were coming on earlier about an hour ago.
Yeah, traffic, mate. Traffic. 2-time traffic. So, yeah. Evening, Abdul. Nice to have you on the stream. My question is going to be regarding the live FPL website. Do you look at template percentage, and would you see it as an issue if it was too high?
Oh, nice one. Like it.
Yeah, I do look at that. I don't look at it quite religiously, but yeah, I do look at it to see where my template is at. But yeah, at the moment, I wouldn't take any note of it at all. As I said, I mean, it's not. It's not a bad thing to have a template team just now. I think later on in the season, second half of the season, is probably something you need to look at. If you're struggling in the rank and you want to try and show up, then yeah, look at it. But it's actually a very good tool to have actually, and I think Live FPL Net was one of the best FPL websites out there. I use it every week, for the live ranks and looking at little things like which how many percentage owner a certain player has, etc. So yeah, I mean the template thing, I wouldn't take much note of it at the moment, mate.
Okay.
No worries.
Probably more look at it in the second half of the season.
I take it, Abdul, could you use that like as an opposite way as well? So say, for example, near the tail end of the season, you're round about that, say, I don't know, I would be nosebleeding if I was anywhere near the top 1,000. I suppose at that point, if your team's like 80% template, would you then start thinking, well, actually, I want to do something a bit different to try and climb, or is that just being overly clever, do you think?
No, I mean it's definitely a good strategy. I mean, if you want to, I mean, the way I see it is, if you're at like the, the tail end of the season, and you've got opportunities to take a risk and get higher, then just take it, because I mean, that's when I take most of my risks at the end of the season. Try and get as high as possible. But yeah, it can also be used to kind of play safe. I mean, if you think like, just for example, you've got like a top 10k or a top 1k, and you want to stay there, then just get your team as template as possible.
Yeah, no, I've got you.
Then yeah, you know what I mean.
No, that's perfect. Well, Ian, thank you very much for your question. Chat.
No worries, mate.
Thank you very much to you lot for getting the questions into Abdul here this evening. What another great podcast, Boona.
It's been alright, isn't it?
It's great, these. I'm loving it. Every time we're coming on to these, I'm like a wee boy. Just get all excited and everything. So,
I love it, honestly.
On behalf of our chat, our audience, obviously for Boona and for Matt, Abdul, FPL Salah, I just want to say thank you so much. It's been a privilege, and we thank you obviously for spending the past hour and a half with us. For yourself though, plug away. Where can our audience and everyone find you if they want to interact and just get to read your articles, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thanks for inviting me on. I've had a great time, man. It's nice, relaxing chat about FPL. Always up for that. So yeah, thanks for calling me on. Secondly, yeah, I mean, my Twitter handle is FPL_Salah. So obviously, if you want to kind of see what I'm up to, or kind of get involved and chat about FPL, then that's my Twitter handle. And yeah, as you know, if you're I write for the Fantasy Football Hub as well. So if you want to read a few of my articles, you can check them out on the website. You can check them on at fantasyfootballhub.co.uk.
Perfect, absolute legend and superstar. Thank you very much for that. For those in the chat, thank you again for joining us this evening. It's been greatly appreciated. As I was saying earlier, we've got Luke Gerdy popping into the studio. Was on Hollyoaks, still an actor. He's also actually a very good FPL player, and he comes live at 5 on Monday coming. So kind of quicker. Well, we were kind of thinking Christmas Eve was a bit of a. We didn't really want to get folk in on Christmas Eve when it's family time. So yeah, he's agreed, and Luke's coming in to join us on Monday, and we hope to see you alongside us and with Luke. As always, the usual kind of things that we kindly just ask. If you want to do it, you can do it. If you don't, you don't. But if you like the stream, please give it a like. It's much appreciated. And if you haven't already had the thumbs up from Roy, hit that subscription button or the wee inject emoji that you might see on your screen. Because this is the type of stuff that we bring to your attention. But Buna, it's over to you, pal. I'll let you round everything up, and we'll call it at that.
I mean, it's a bit weird when you round everything up, and then you tell me to round everything up. Like, you literally just rounded everything up. But all I'm going to say is...
confused,
it's been a pleasure, bro. Thank you for joining us, and we would love to have you on again in the future. Some really interesting insight, and yeah, I'm going to try and move back to a bit more of a conservative game and see how that goes for me. Otherwise, wishing you all the best, and wishing everyone all the best for the game week.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Perfect.
Yeah, see you guys.
Thanks very much, folk. Take care of yourselves. Cheers now.
Better sounds no one ever heard. I wish I had a better voice to sing some better words. I wish I found some chords in an order that is new. I wish I didn't have to rhyme every time I sang. I was told when I get older all my fears would shrink, but now I'm insecure and I care what people think. My name's blurry face and I